What's going on, BOTA World? Soggy Boy, I'm coming at you with a solo video. Tried to get the boys to join on, didn't work. Had a big shakeup. Trade just happened. The New York Jets send Sam Darnold to the Carolina Panthers for a 2021 sixth-round draft pick and a 2022 second and a fourth. So 3 draft picks for Sam Darnold. Yeah, I mean, the Jets got a decent return for Sam Darnold. We all speculated that they were going to go QB anyways, and this just solidifies that position for them. It does make it interesting for the Panthers now because they are, or were speculated to possibly go for a quarterback if they fell. So someone like Mac Jones or Trey Lance possibly going to the Panthers. Does this change anything for them? Does it solidify them going QB now that they have Sam Darnold? They want to get someone. They want Darnold to be a rich quarterback. I mean, I think the possibilities are endless. My take on this is that I think that they have their guy for right now. They think that they can win with Sam Darnold with the weapons that they have in Carolina. I think they do get an upgrade over Teddy Bridgewater, which is good. I mean, no offense, Teddy, but you didn't really work out. PJ Walker almost took your starting job, so, there's that one. So I guess the question is, where do they go? Where does Carolina go with pick number 8? And I think looking at the order of things now that the Jets spot is solidified, and, again, whether or not I want to believe it, San Francisco spot is most likely solidified at going QB. So, obviously, I think without a doubt, Trevor Lawrence, number 1 overall, going to Jacksonville. Number 2, most likely going to be Zack Wilson. Number 3, there's been a lot of speculation as to who it's going to be. A lot of people believe it's going to be Justin Fields. Some people have Trey Lance going number 3 overall to the 49ers, but we don't know. The Falcons are a very interesting spot. I guess depending on who goes in the first 3, which it seems like there's, almost a certainty as to which 3 quarterbacks are going to go, and it's most likely going to be quarterbacks. They could go out and pick up Matt Ryan's successor. I don't think that would be a good idea for them right now. I think getting Matt Ryan weapons, getting that defense back up to snuff, because MVP level Matt Ryan brought them to a Super Bowl and almost won. We all know how that ended. But I think if the first 3 are going as is, going QB all for the first 3 picks, it's most likely going to be a position player. It's going to be most likely a guy like Kyle Pitts. Putting a guy like Kyle Pitts in that offense is going to be huge for the Falcons if they can do it. Matt Ryan is just one of those quarterbacks that does better with a good tight end. Look at how he did with Austin Hooper. Hayden Hurst didn't do all that well last year, and, they were 4-12, but not really Matt Ryan's fault, I would say. Antonio, oh my God. Why can't I think of Tony Gonzalez? Jesus, there it is. Tony Gonzalez, possibly the best tight end of all time. Matt Ryan had him for a couple of years before he retired. So there's consistent tight end play, and it plays into how well Matt Ryan does. Obviously, you have a guy like Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley on your team. Adding a guy like Kyle Pitts is only going to make that a harder offense to stop. I think obviously they're a pass-first team, getting some sort of running help in there. Todd Gurley was not the answer. Free agent, most likely moving on, but we'll see. So, like I said, those first 3 picks are now 99% solidified. They're gonna be QBs, and where the variation starts to come in is with this number 4 pick, in that depending on who goes at number 3, because again, a lot of people have Fields, some people have Trey Lance going. do the Falcons like either of those quarterbacks? If they like either of those quarterbacks enough, they're going to go quarterback. But if not, it's most likely going to be the top prospect, Kyle Pitts. Then we have the Bengals. I mean, I think it's going to be easy to tell where the Bengals are going. If Pitts comes off the board at 4, they get Sewell. If Pitts doesn't come off the board, they might go for Pitts. Now, you 100% need to get him an offensive line help. But if Kyle Pitts is there and you're a Bengals fan, are you kind of selfishly going, well, maybe we should get him a weapon? I think you stick with your guns. I think you go offensive line. You get Burrow that protection, especially after obviously what happened last year, and you go Sewell. So, just on my little mock board, I got Trevor Lawrence. I have Zach Wilson going 2. I have Justin Fields going 3, even though I still think it's going to be Jamar Chase. But number 4, most likely Kyle Pitts. 5 is Sewell. So now you come down to number 6, Miami. Miami, if they get to that, they are going to pick Jamar Chase. And that will be explosive for Tua, because he's going to have that second wide receiver, just that second dynamic wide receiver. I mean, obviously Devontae Parker is a top 15 wide receiver in the league. You're going to get another one of those in that system, and that's just going to pay dividends for not only Tua, but for the Dolphins. I mean, it seems like all signs are pointing that they're going to go Jamar Chase if he drops to 6. If he doesn't, if the 49ers go for someone like that at 3, because, GMs are stupid, and I don't know if you can trust John Lynch, to be completely honest with you. We'll see. So the last pick before we get to, how this outlook affects the Carolina Panthers is the Detroit Lions. Obviously, they go and they trade Matthew Stafford to the Rams to try and get him, a ring, because that, I think at this point there's maybe 2 quarterbacks that deserve a ring more than him, and that would be Matt Ryan and sorry about that. It would be Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers. Even though Phillip retired, Matt Ryan still has a chance. Not on a 4-12 team, but it'll be interesting to see where the Lions go, because if Chase comes off the board and Pitts comes off the board, it really starts to open up that draft board. They're most likely not going QB. They could go wide receiver, but do they value a guy like Devonta Smith? Do they value a guy like Jalen Waddle at that number 7 spot? Do they go for a guy like Micah Parsons? They desperately need linebacker help. Would they go out and get a guy like that at number 7, or would they let him slip and maybe trade back? So I think number 7 for the pick 7 for Detroit, I feel like, they need wide receiver. They let Kenny Golladay go. They got to go out and get that guy. Now, the question for them is, do they think they can get that guy later than 7? And if they do, they most likely trade back. And that brings me to Carolina. They got their guy, or at least they think they got their guy. Who do they draft at 8? Now, they need QB, so we can take that off the board. They're probably not going to go wide receiver, so they're probably not going to get a guy like Devonta Smith or Jalen Waddle. I mean, Kyle Pitts is most likely going to be off the board. If you're Carolina and Kyle Pitts falls to you and you don't take him, you're an idiot. You take Kyle Pitts at 8, but it's probably not going to happen. So, at number 8, you got the guy. Get the guy some offensive line help. I mean, if we're going 8, they could go for a guy like Rashawn Slater. I mean, it's going to be a high reach for him, but I mean, if you solidified that spot, you don't need running back, you don't need wide receiver, you don't need tight end, you need offensive line, and that's their biggest need. After quarterback, I mean, at least now that Sam Darnold is there. So I'm predicting Rashawn Slater is going number 8 overall to the Panthers. They need that offensive line help. If they don't trade out of the pick, I think that's where they're going to go. If they trade out of the pick, we'll see what they do. They most likely, bring it back maybe to like, a mid 20 pick or something like that. Do I think they're going to trade out of it? Probably not. I think if they get a guy like Rashawn Slater, that's going to be a game-changing piece for them on that offensive line for years to come. So see what they do. Those are my first 8 picks, kind of prediction thing. Obviously, if you've watched the BOTA show or watched any of our stuff, I'm still my gut's telling me Jamar Chase is going number 3 overall because John Lynch would just go out and get a guy like that. I don't know. I could see them going Kyle Pitts at number 3 too. I mean, I think a lot of people think he's a generational talent, and you set a compensation for Jimmy Garoppolo. You want a first-round pick for him. I mean, you get a first-round pick this year for the quarterback. You could package it and move up again in the draft and draft a guy like Kyle Pitts. I don't know. They're most likely going to go Justin Fields at number 3. So we'll see. But thank you so much for listening to me ramble about all this bullshit. The trade itself seemed like such a small thing, but it has big ramifications for this draft because now the Jets know they're going QB. Now we have solidified 1, 2, and most likely solidified 3 in this draft. Whereas before, there was a lot of speculation they're going to keep Darnold. They might go Sewell, but now Sewell could fall to, that pick, that number 5 pick, or the Falcons could surprise us all and pick a guy like that. So we'll see what happens. I mean, just from what I've seen, a lot of people have that 1, 2, 3, Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, and then most people have Pitts going at the number 4 pick. So we'll see what the Falcons do with that pick. But the Panthers have a lot of options at the number 8 pick. I mean, I really think their best options are either going with a guy like Rashawn Slater or trading that pick. I think trying to get a Devonta Smith or a Jalen Waddle at number 8 overall, I don't think that's going to benefit them now that they have their guy in Sam Darnold. I think that, the weapons that they have now are going to be okay, and they can go and trade back and get another wide receiver later and then also pick up an additional pick, getting more talent in that room. So we'll see. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You know where to find us: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all that shit. I'm Soggy Boy. Thank you so much for listening.